Hey y'all, Silvox here. Welcome to the VR Chat Show. Today we're going to be interviewing some great guys over here. First up, we have Cameron, who is the creative director here at Rec Room. We have Josh, who is the experienced team leader. We have John, the experienced team leader, and we also have Ryan, the art director. So, along with them, we also have a whole bunch, and I mean a whole bunch of people out here in the audience, some great YouTubers. We have Chris, or Shugghead Gaming. We have AJ from PSVR Underground. We have Skeeva from Between Realities. We also have Alex from Between Realities. We have Ryan from the VR Grid. Will, which is that guy is Will VR. We have Betty, which is Creepy Betty PSVR. We have Justin, which is Just Incredible VR. Love that name. We have Jason, the Lividator VR. And we also have some special guests. We have VBunny and Hambone, Nathie, and Zimtok. So, we also have a whole crew that's working in this room together. We have Velp, which is the show editor and animations. We have Noctato, which is the artist and the community support / marketing for Rec Room. We have Misery, who is an artist, Betty, who's an artist, Mystery, who is an artist, Ondog, who's an artist, Marisa, who is an artist and design creative community for Rec Room. We also have the people helping out with the cameras, which is Pal, and a few good tacos. Like I said, we got a whole lot of people in here today. Glad you're here, though. All right, so first up, we would like to go ahead and wish Rec Room, you guys, a happy 5th anniversary. Rec Room released way on back, June 1st, 2016. So happy birthday, right on, guys.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. No, it's a big milestone for us. We had no idea we would make it this far. So far so good. And thank you to everyone who plays Rec Room. It's been quite the journey.
Absolutely. So first up, let's go ahead and get to you guys a little bit better. If y'all could give us a little bit of a backstory to yourself, your history, and for those that are not informed about what Rec Room is, I don't know how they don't, but there are still people out there that have no idea. It's crazy. Give us a little bit of Rec Room's history as well.
Sure. Okay. Well, hey, maybe we'll do introductions first, and then we can talk a little bit about what Rec Room is. So I'm Cam, aka Gribbly, one of the co-founders of Rec Room, the creative director. And yeah, my background is basically, this is, I think, my 25th year in the video game industry. So I've just been making games for a long time, and Rec Room has been the one that I've been working on for the last 5 years. And I got to say, one of the craziest.
I'm also one of the co-founders of Rec Room. I'm sort of our co-experiences team lead. So we work on sort of stuff like the orientation that we just shipped, and in the past, things like Quest and Paintball and stuff like that. I've also come from the video game industry. So before this, worked at Xbox and Time Games for a little while. Yeah, but in the last 5 years, making Rec Room with all these folks.
All right, my name's John. I'm a game designer as well, and started the company with these guys. At my time at Rec Room, I've spent most of my time on sort of what we would call our first-party content, like the Rec Room original games and stuff like that. So early stuff like disc golf and paddleball, all the way up through paintball and quests and laser tag and all that fun stuff. These days, still looking at sort of first-party experiences going forward. Most recently, working on orientation with Josh and Ryan, and a big part of that one that, hey, made me feel like was a really exciting beat was we got to dedicate a whole room to it to creators and you guys in our creative community. We finally got to do that.
Yeah. By the way, fun fact, John is the voice of Stunt Runner. So if you want to embarrass him later, make him say, Stunt Runner! Watch out!
Nice.
Yes, he's also all of the goblins in Golden Trophy.
Nice.
You can finally tell us what they're actually saying. I'd love to hear that.
Let's see, for me, so I'm Ryan, art director here on Rec Room, and then I come from indie games in the past. I come from bigger studios, come from TV. So yeah, excited to jump into Rec Room and been here since the beginning, so it's been fun to see everything grow in this wild ride and everything.
So if y'all can, go ahead and give us a little bit of backstory to what Rec Room really is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I mean, these days we call Rec Room radically cross-platform social UGC app. But you know, as most of the people here know, we kind of started back in 2016 as a VR-only app. And so really, like when Rec Room first came out, you know, this group of folks with a few others of our co-founders, we were like, all right, you know, VR is coming out, the Oculus, the Vive, there's like all this cool new stuff that you can do. And we were like, someone is going to make the Wii Sports of VR. Maybe we should make the Wii Sports of VR. So that was kind of one of the original ideas for Rec Room, was like, we should make the Wii Sports of VR. It'll be like mini games. And then we were like, okay, well, like we want it to like last forever, kind of it was the idea. So what would make Wii Sports endlessly interesting? And that's kind of really where we got the social idea, which was like, well, the thing that's endlessly interesting is meeting other people and playing with them. So if we could make like a Wii Sports MMO, that would kind of be crazy. And, and so the original DNA of Rec Room is basically social Wii Sports. And then, we got that going, and we felt really lucky to find an audience very quickly. Like, we shipped the first version of Rec Room. We actually started from a standing start. I think, probably it was you, Josh, wrote the first line of code, 99 days before we shipped into early access on Steam. So it was a very quick initial development. We did disc golf and dodgeball and stuff like that. And we weren't sure what was going to happen. Like, we shipped the game onto Steam, and like we pressed the button to set it live, and we were just like, okay, now what? And it was really, really exciting to see people from all around the world kind of like download the game and like appear in the game. And we would like go meet them on the disc golf course and be like, hey, who the hell are you? And they'd be like, well, I'm here from Paris. And you'd be like, holy crap. And one really amazing thing is, apart from the occasional downtime where we've had to like take the servers offline for big upgrades or whatever, I think since June 1st of 2016, Rec Room has literally never been empty. Which was in the early days was not a given. We were like, we don't know if anyone will show up. It was like throwing a party and like, will anyone turn up? But yeah, from day one, there was people in there, and it was just 24/7. And really all it's done since then is just grow and grow and grow, which has just been absolutely insane. But that was basically the start of it. Anything you guys would add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the things that stand out to me is just sort of how we've grown since then, and how we've grown from that initial Wii Sports VR and done all of these things that at the time we said we would never do. When we first were working on that version we shipped in 99 days, there were a bunch of things like, well, we're never going to have a shooting mini game. We're never going to have controller support and all these things.
Yeah, we never have smooth locomotion.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it'll be teleport only forever. But I think, really what we nailed really early on was this feeling of community and listening to people and having this sort of source of inspiration. Which I think has been there from the very beginning. So things like paintball, things like all the locomotion, come from that.
Yeah, I can remember those early days where we would post online and we would get a dozen people in the game, and it felt like such a gift to have these people here playing with us. And it grew really quick. And I think, when we went from just a Wii Sports game where there's dodgeball and things, really quickly we heard like, hey, we want more competitive games and we want more co-op games. So that got us to really flex our creative skills. Like, hey, I love working on shooting games. How's a way to make that work in Rec Room? Or, other people on that team were really passionate about dungeon crawler kinds of things. So we went and built that kind of stuff. So we had paintball and we had quests. But the point where I think it was a real breakthrough for the company and the service of Rec Room was, hey, people started asking for things like escape rooms or puzzle games, and I'm just like, okay, I suck at making puzzles. Like, I don't know if we can grow the app at a rate that keeps it interesting as people want it to be. And so, yeah, UGC and the creative tools is really what sort of made Rec Room this thing that's capable of growing and expanding at a rate that can keep anybody interested, and sort of there's something for everybody out there. Like, because us on the team, we're certainly not going to think of all the cool stuff you guys do.
Well, I did. I just was thinking as these guys were talking, I was like, this group of people in this room is like, this would have been the concurrent user base of Rec Room in July of 2016. We would have been like delighted to see this many people online across the entire app, which is hilarious.
That's crazy to think about.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I think about how much time we spent being concerned with and problem solving around this problem we called crickets. There's just not enough people playing Rec Room to be in 5 games at the same time. How can you fill a game of paintball when everyone's in dodgeball? Because there's 25 people playing, right? And how much of a luxury it is today that's just so much less of a problem, right?
Yeah, we got plenty of other stuff to worry about, but
right.
We worry about that one less. Yeah,
absolutely. So, how's it affected your team to be the most successful VR game to date, being valued at $1.25 billion?
Well, Soul Fox, we've gone mad with power,
Absolutely.
We basically sit on top of a giant pile of money and just laugh. No. I don't know, like Honestly, I don't think it's been, obviously it's great. We feel very validated, to have found an audience in VR and now cross-platform, and to have been, we don't think of ourselves as like, the most successful VR game or whatever. We think of ourselves as part of the VR journey, like we were happy to be early on this kind of like new, this new era of VR that really started with the Vive and the Rift. And this resurgence that we've seen. So we're just really proud to have been a part of that story, so it's just been exciting, and it's great to see that coming along. I personally am a huge fan of the Quest 2, just like I'm big into like the kind of mainstream hardware that anyone can afford, and like you're going to get like millions and millions of headsets out there. So I'm on a Quest 2 right now. So I just love to see the evolution. We love being a part of it. And as for the valuation and stuff like that, like it's just really been, I think, a validation of what we're doing, I think, has a future, like this kind of, like John was saying, creating a platform where anyone can create stuff, like people can create amazing rooms like this that I've never seen before, and I'm just coming here, I'm like, this is amazing. I think it's really, we feel very validated, and we feel very fortunate that we've got, resources now that we can hire the team and scale the company and just keep investing in Rec Room across all of the platforms we're on. And so, it's funny, like even though we're celebrating our 5th birthday, I honestly really feel like we are just getting started. I look back and I'm just like, there's so much more to do. There's so much more potential. So I don't know if you guys want to add anything to that, but that's kind of how I feel about it. I feel like incredibly lucky, incredibly grateful, and really excited about just, what the next 5 years is going to look like.
Yeah, I think that really sums it up for me. Just so much opportunity now to make things even better, and to make, this wasn't possible 5 years ago. What'll be possible in 5 years from now? Like this will give us the opportunity to make that transition again. Like it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah. And success. It's not like we've reached a peak and we're happy, right? It's like we've earned a chance to keep working on it.
Yeah.
The valuation or funding or any of this is just like, hey, the real gift is we get to keep doing this, and we get to keep trying more and more and doing better job.
Yeah, it's incredibly like validating to have that valuation, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, there's also a lot of responsibility and a lot of emphasis put onto it, where it's like, okay, well, what can we do now with this? What is this going to unlock for the future for us? So on the team level, it's really fun to think about like, hey, we have a lot more resources now. What can we do? What can we unlock for everyone? So that's fun to think about as well.
Absolutely. I started back in 2017, back in January, and seeing Rec Room go from that to what it is now has been a crazy experience. And the way you put it, it's an infinite game. That's how I try to like bring people to Rec Room. Like, you don't understand. You can do anything. You can look for any room whatsoever. If you want to search in tacos, there's probably 17 rooms full of tacos waiting for you to go explore. If there's anything. It's fantastic.
I know what one funny experience.
We even have tacos here.
Oh yeah, there we go. We found out we got tacos right here. I was going to say, like, I remember one moment that really stuck out to me, and you'll be able to date this anecdote because of the references I'm about to use, but like it was shortly after we had created the invention system so that you could like move objects from room to room that you created. And I remember our CEO, Nick, and I were in the game together, and we're just like screwing around and like looking at the inventions people were creating. And we were like, all right, we want to see if we can put Baby Yoda in a Cybertruck, because it was right after the Mandalorian had come out and right after they had announced the Cybertruck. And so we went online and we were just amazing. We were like, all right, we found like 4 Cybertrucks and 3 Baby Yodas and like just put one inside the other. Like, this is amazing.
We also have some fantastic questions from all the people here in the audience today, so we're going to go ahead and divert our attention to them. I think first up we have Ryan.
Yeah, I guess that's me. So I mean, Rec Room's 5 years old. How the heck is this game still free? How have you guys been able to maintain that free-to-play structure while still growing?
Well, I mean, Rec Room's not entirely, it's free to download, and like it's actually funny because we're still in early access on Steam, and you can still read the original early access blurb that I wrote in May of 2016, and we said Rec Room will always be free, you'll always be able to play it for free. And that's true, and we intend to keep it that way. But obviously we have things you can buy tokens and you can buy avatar stuff, and we should all be very grateful to our Rec Room Plus subscribers who kind of help us with our revenue and keeping the lights on. We are just like pretty much any free to play game. We want a free to play experience so that we can bring everyone together and then have some options for people to spend money on so that we can keep the lights on. but that's, there's not really any magic to it apart from that. But yeah, does that answer the question? Like, it's we're not entirely free, and we're always looking for interesting ways that we can create a fair kind of thing where we feel like, hey, it's cool to spend money on this. We're fortunate that we have players who really enjoy Rec Room and think of it as kind of a hobby, and so they're happy to kind of put some money into it on a regular basis. But yeah, that's basically the pattern that we'll keep going moving forward. And we're increasingly exploring kind of giving more options for people who build rooms to monetize their rooms directly, and then you can kind of go into the creator payout program and actually kind of get money out of it at the other end. So if you want to be a really serious creator in Rec Room, you can make money on it as well as us. So yeah, make no mistake, we're a business, and we try and think about we can't be a charity, obviously. But we do want to have that free experience always, because we're a social game, and so we want to have people, able to socialize and dip their toe in the pool for free.
Next up, we have a question from Shugghead.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us all in this amazing environment, and thanks for bringing to VR something that's very, very special, and probably one of the main reasons that VR is continuing to push forward into the masses. So thanks for that.
Thanks for the kind words. That's really nice.
Yeah. Well, it's very earned. My question to you guys is, you are definitely kind of the OGs of the VR social world, but now you've got Facebook Horizons, and you've got VR chat. I'm curious. I mean, I could probably answer this question for you, but I'm curious how you guys see yourself in that mix. Like, how do you differentiate yourself, and how do you see yourself continuing that differentiation moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's testament to the kind of power of bringing people together in VR and across platforms that I think you're seeing a lot of really interesting products being created here. I think we really think of ourselves as playing our own game. I think we are really interested in being on all platforms, so being a kind of really, really cross-platform experience is important to us, and really trying to solve the really interesting design problem of how do you bring people together, on devices as various as a VR headset, to a phone, to a PlayStation, to an Xbox, to whatever else we come out on. We think that's a big differentiator for us. We think kind of the way we're thinking about creation and the kind of the creative ecosystem we're creating, we feel like is a pretty different way of approaching it. If you look at something like Roblox, where all of the creation takes place in a separate app, we think that's very different to what we're doing, where creation is social. And, we could literally interrupt this interview, break out the maker pen, and build something new, right now as a group, if we wanted. That's pretty unique. So yeah, we honestly mainly spend most of our time thinking about what are we doing. We think if we're going to screw something up, it'll probably be because we screw it up, not because a competitor comes and screws it up for us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess my one final question is, the way I would have answered that question for you guys, I think personally, was I think you guys seem very much more accessible to a younger audience. I feel like it's friendlier, it's safer. It just seems to be more geared that way. And I guess I'm just curious, as you move forward, is that something that you kind of want to maintain?
There's a few different ways to think about that, because, my sort of half joking answer when people ask me, who is Rec Room for? And my basic answer is everybody but assholes. That's basically my answer to that question. But it's true. Definitely, I think we definitely appeal to a younger audience, and, we're lucky to have a kind of a kind of bunch of people in that kind of younger age group who have a lot of time and energy to commit to a game. So, it's a great audience to have a relationship with. But I think as the community grows, really what we're trying to do is allow sub communities to form. And I think, our efforts here are not perfect yet. We've got a lot of iteration to do with features like clubs and things like that. But the intention is kind of to allow people to we think of it as find your people, find your fun, and make sure it's a welcoming community so that you're not kind of bouncing off because people are being mean to you. But we're actually really comfortable with having older communities form, having younger communities to form. We really want to invest in great tools so that like-minded people can find each other and kind of spend time doing the things that they want to do, playing the kinds of things they want to play with. And it's just kind of really natural to kind of find your community in Rec Room and not be too opinionated about, well, we only want, 13 to 15-year-olds, or we only want 21-year-olds or whatever. We want everybody, unless you're an asshole.
Wow, I love that. Love that inclusivity. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look back at our store description, it says, fun and welcoming community from people from all walks of life. I think I messed up a little bit. But, that's what we focus on. That is, one of the core things that we're constantly developing around.
Yeah.
And, we're not making these choices like, okay, we're looking to add this feature for a 30-year-old. It's like, no, we're looking for a fun and welcoming community. And then that's going to draw in players from all age groups. It just so happens that, some of them right now are young, but, it still has a large spread across the entire demographic.
Yeah.
So have you all
Well, thank
actually
you.
met like the grandparents that play Rec Room? They're the sweetest.
Yeah.
Sweetest people.
Oh
I
yeah,
love them so much.
we have a couple of Rec Center mods who are kind of older folks, who are in their 60s and in their 70s, and like, man, I love hanging out with those folks. And like, I forget her name, but I met one of our mods the other day who calls herself the Gaming Granny, and she's just awesome. She's got like way more energy than I do. I was like, whoa. This is amazing. So yeah, I think hopefully we can have people from like Ryan said, all walks of life enjoy Rec Room. Whatever device you got, whatever age you are, whatever you're into, within reason. Yeah,
Right. Everybody's welcome.
Yeah.
All right. So our next question comes up from AJ.
Hey guys, AJ from PSVR Underground. Really nice to meet you, and thank you for being here today. And really love to personally thank whoever's idea it was for Crescendo of the Moon. That was awesome. I'm a huge Castlevania fan.
I think so.
Thank you for
That's these three plus a whole bunch of the rest of the team. But
big fan of that, man. Thank you. But my question is, so you mentioned that you have been on, one of your goals has been to be on multiple platforms. You've been on PC, both flat and VR. You've been on PS4, both flat and VR. Recently Xbox, and of course iOS as well. Do you guys plan on moving to any other headsets as well, expanding beyond that, or any other platforms? And, in particular, stuff like maybe PSVR 2, which was recently announced in the future?
yeah, so PSVR 2 for sure we are really interested in. So that looks like a great platform for us. We've had a great relationship with Sony and the PlayStation user base. PSVR has been a great platform for us. And so, yeah, PSVR 2, I think is going to be great because, that brings up the performance. It's got the better controllers, which I think will make the experience a lot better. So we're pretty excited for the PSVR 2. I think you'll see us there for sure. Other headsets, I think given the amount of platforms we're on and the scale we're at, we are typically not going to be the very first app on, some of the newer entrants into the VR headset markets that, because people ask us from time to time about like, the various VR peripherals, like, there's kind of haptic vests, or there's treadmills you can walk on, or there's like tracking devices. I think we are typically not going to be the tip of the spear on that stuff. We will, because, VR is such a great and amazing, development environment. There's a lot of people kind of out there experimenting and doing really kind of interesting experiments. So I think we'll kind of be the second wave of like, all right, when we see a headset or something get traction, we'll be like, okay, yeah, we'll start thinking about how to port to it. So you won't see us there first, but yeah, if it's a headset with a chance of going mainstream, we want to be on if possible. We basically want to be on anything that'll play Rec Room and that we think a lot of people will have. We're really pretty agnostic about what it is, and we've bitten off a lot of challenges in terms of like figuring out the controls and figuring out the performance. So we'll try anything at this point.
Oh, that's great, man. It's been awesome to over the years. I've been playing this for years and stuff, and seeing it evolve. And I really look forward to seeing how it evolves in the future, you guys. So keep up the great work.
Awesome. Thank
The
you.
answer is haptics, PSVR 2 haptics, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And once we're on PS5, can we sell that as or once we're on PSVR 2, we can sell that as we optimize the game to run really well on PlayStation.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was all us.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're welcome, PlayStation players.
All right, so our next question is coming in from Alex. So Alex VR right there.
One of the things that I've noticed about Rec Room is it's easy to see, or it's easy to distinguish, right? Like the avatars have a distinct look to them, and I imagine that when they were being designed, it was almost like a almost like a limitation, you know, like, okay, we got to keep things simple because it needs to be optimized. But as technology gets more powerful, it's going to kind of be your choice to like either choose it as like a stylized design, right? Or, you know, like go along with what you're able to do with the hardware. So I'm curious, like, do you guys have a trajectory for that? Like, do you kind of plan on keeping the aesthetic the way it is, or do you think you're going to be entertaining more options as hardware allows you to?
Yeah. So yeah, I say like for the immediate, just to answer directly, like immediate future, we'll plan to keep it stylized. But you know, moving forward, like if you could think this like 10 years down the line or something crazy like that, you know, like hardware is going to get deprecated, and like at a certain point, like Quest 1 isn't even going to be supported anymore by Facebook. So like at a certain point, like those will go away. So I think you'll see some like larger fidelity pushes kind of once the really low end platforms kind of go by the wayside. So like for the immediate future, like yeah, the stylized look was an intentional choice. It allows us to be on so many different platforms all at the same time. Like some people are probably on the Quest 1 right now, and you know, people are on high end PCs, and we can interact and talk to each other and build together. And you know, if we did not have that stylized platform choice, we would not be able to support that concurrently together. So it enables us to do more. We hope to continue to do that. Farther down the line, we'll probably reevaluate that as hardware numbers increase and become more powerful.
But yeah, the art team definitely talks about like I think they've got definitely interesting plots and schemes for bringing up the fidelity over time. I think there's a lot of cool stuff we could do. Yeah, personally, I'm a huge like
some of the small things that you'll see like over time, like you know, you can get more faces. We have body shapes and face shapes. We're working on some cool features for the hair and all that. So like it's been fun to see how we can continue to push more of what we have right now without drastically like going back to the drawing board and starting from scratch.
If I could give Ryan a quick compliment, like one of the real big challenges Ryan stepped into as becoming a director on the team was, in camp words, someday we want to run on battery powered headsets that are basically cell phones. And so that was a lot going into the constraints Ryan had to work with. And so I think this is something that when I just approach Rec Room as a fan and somebody who plays our stuff and enjoys it, I do see that as a differentiator relative to some other products out there. Is there's a real like unifying aesthetic to all this stuff, and that's really all Ryan and his team sort of looking down the road and knowing we want people to feel like they belong in a place, and it's all of a universe. And I think the avatars are really where that starts. You know, you see each other and you recognize the features, and you all feel like you're part of the same universe. I really appreciate that about Rec Room.
Yeah, it's definitely a foundation. Like you could strip away this entire world right now and just have it be a solid color, and we can still have a conversation. We can still have an experience together, and it be identifiable as a differentiator across other products. So like that in itself is a success in my eyes.
And on legs and stuff like that, like I think we probably will, like for stuff like that, we use the creation tools as kind of a playground, because you've got animations, and the more powerful we make the creation tools, the more capable our creators are of experimenting with stuff like that. So I'd say we have no plans to do anything like that on the avatar, but you might see some experiments pop up in the kind of creation tools and the animations and all that kind of stuff. So if you're going to see kind of more full body avatars, you would see it in kind of a more of a costume context.
So we're getting mechs?
Yeah, other than everyone's getting a mandatory neck. Everyone will have to have a neck.
Oh, no, I said mechs.
Oh, mechs. I thought you said mechs. Yeah, we're going to have a giant neck. But yeah, you can kind of imagine, we want to support animated characters and kind of like the ability to make AI NPCs in the in your rooms and stuff like that, like all over time, right? With now that CV2's rolled out, we've got a much more capable scripting system. So you can imagine once you've got the ability to make kind of like full body NPCs, we sort of won't, even if we wanted to stop them, which we don't, we wouldn't be able to stop creators like attaching that to the avatar. But we always think of it as like, that's why I really like the costume system, because I really like the idea that, these very stylized Rec Room avatars are like, this is you, this is me in Rec Room is this appearance. but I like being able to go to rooms and put on all kinds of crazy costumes and like, it's exactly like it works in the real world. Like I'm me, but I can go to a costume party or I can go and, dress up in some crazy way for Halloween and, and experiment with another identity for a while. Personally, I really like that dynamic. So,
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're not you anymore. You're still Gribbly snapped in.
One of my favorite creation parts was it's like 2 years ago. It was like a room, I think it was like Just Pants or something.
So our next question is going to be coming in from Skeeva from Between Realities. Skeeva, go ahead.
Hey guys, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you guys. I am a big fan of anyone whose mission's life is to bring people together. I think it's awesome what you guys do. That being said, I'd like to ask you a question. I mean, I think it's amazing that you guys constantly keep updating this game with new items, adventures, and tools for builders to use. How much work goes into preparing these items? How do you guys kind of pick what you're going to work on next and what kinds of things that you want to bring into the game?
I could speak a little bit on the tool side. So I've spent most of my time on sort of our first party experiences stuff, but for about a year and a half, I was with the UGC team as a design lead over there. And I did many of these AMA videos with Hairy Man Legs where we field questions about our creative tools and then we sort of talk to team members who know stuff about them and then we answer them to the community. And for the tools and the creative tools teams, they really come in from all kinds of channels. So just a few to call out would be our creative community. So Marisa here runs classes. She's got a whole bunch of teachers who run classes. And we sort of get the most genuine, unfakeably enthusiastic signal from that crew of builders constantly. And so we always have really good insights coming in from Marisa and that crew. But beyond that, we have the AMAs where we sort of feel what are the most popular questions on Reddit that people are asking about our build tools, and then we respond to those. And then we would do live Q&As with our builder audience. So we would let in 30 to 40 people, and they would come in and just ask us questions like, and there's really no script. It's just what's top of mind? What are you thinking about? And sometimes we would have some guardrails of like, today we're going to talk about circuits. And that was always really helpful. We would get a good sense from the room of people saying, hey, I'm trying to build this type of experience. And here's the parts that really fall down with your tools, or there isn't really a way to do this. How might we do it? And sometimes it would be people in the audience who are other creators would help them brainstorm and come to a solution. And other times we'd find, there really isn't a good way to do that. And we would sort of take those insights back to the planning process and sort of think of those as our next big tools iterations. And that team has only gotten bigger since then, and I would say what they're doing is that plus a lot more. So you'll see big things like Circuits V2 going out. That is, we're taking that seriously enough, and it's robust enough that there's actually a team dedicated to just making circuits better and more expressive over time. But yeah, a lot of it is just like everything else in Rec Room. See what our audience is using, see what they love, see what they hate about it, and kind of fold that into how can we make everything better.
Yeah. Sort of one thing I guess I'd add to that, you kind of call that we have a team dedicated to circuits, and we have just a couple of different teams that are focused on sort of the different aspects of Rec Room that we want to be constantly improving and working on. And so at a really sort of high level, we sort of talk about Rec Room as being a place where you play, you create, and you socialize. And so we sort of have teams that are dedicated to those three missions. And by sort of having these different teams working sort of in parallel, it means it's possible for sort of every team to be shipping something every week without them needing to spend only a week working on it. So we can kind of keep the whole company busy, the whole team working on good stuff, and kind of stay focused on these different aspects. So example, circuits, or the team that John and I are leading now, our experiences team working on, again, the sort of first-party content and that play aspect too.
Yeah, and then specifically talking about like, hey, how much work goes into preparing items like this? It really does depend, like for, I see a few people in the audience that have crowns on their heads. And like, something like that for the art team, that's like, okay, well, it's going to take like, probably a little less than a week for us to make. But it can really scale up to different sizes. So like we just released lattes and coffee as a consumable. And that can take, a lot more time from an artist, but also it's a collaborative experience. It's teams working together to get things done. So I believe like John did a lot of work on the audio for that consumable. We
Drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Drink a lot of coffee. Then we had another designer help out, and then a developer come in and help out on the programming side. So things kind of scale, and so that's kind of like a medium-sized project. And then you have like the large-scale projects, like an RRO, which could take like an entire quarter, and that's multiple teams coming together to deliver something big and exciting. So we have like a whole range of complexity on the stuff that we make, and it depends on what we're making.
Okay, so our next question is going to be coming in from Will.
Hey, so one of my favorite things about Rec Room is the music in the game. It's so catchy, and it doesn't get old no matter how many times you hear it. So with that, my question is, how did you manage to make so many different genres as an artist and nail each one of them?
Well, thank you for saying that. That's nice to hear. So for those who don't know, like I do most of the music for Rec Room. John has helped me out with a bunch of it. A couple other people on the team. But yeah, like that's a good question. Like I've always been like, it is part of my, I've been a game designer a long time, and then my sort of my hobby and my side project and has always been a musician and a composer. So I've just always done that. Like if I'm not working on Rec Room, I'm noodling around with music, playing the piano or something. So yes, I mean a lot of it's been like comes from, I think John and I have a lot of fun working on, he'll come to me and say, all right, we want to do a kind of vampire themed quest. And it's going to be like this kind of thing, and it's this kind of vibe. And we'll do a lot in the concept phase of like, it's really important to get like a couple of reference images. So the art team will often have like reference mood images for like something like Crescendo. And John will kind of like give me some, I often ask him for like, give me some adjectives. Like, how do you want to feel when you play this thing? And then, so we'll start with that kind of these moods and these images. And then often there'll be kind of a sort of a genre influence. Like for a vampire themed quest, you're like, well, you kind of want it to be those classic pipe organs and, vampire movies and all that kind of big dramatic stuff. And so starting from that premise, like we do everything in Rec Room really iteratively. Like we've developed, I think, a really healthy creative culture where we're very willing to share ideas in a rough state and we're not too embarrassed. So I'll send John just the worst garbage you've ever heard. And I'll just be like, how about this? And he's like, this is terrible. you gotta do something different. And so then we'll just go back and forth, and eventually John will stop complaining. He'll be like, oh yeah, I guess that's okay. And so that's my sign that like, okay, we got something. But just as a funny anecdote, like something that you'll never be able to unhear once I say it, I bet is very often an input into the themes. Because from my perspective, like writing the songs for the quest or whatever, I'm always trying to come up with like a motif, like just one. Like for Crescendo, it's the dun 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 dun. You want that. And so if you listen to the music for Crescendo, that sequence of notes is all over the place. It's in like the timpanis and in the rhythm, and it's everywhere. And often for that stuff, like to get a starting point, I'll often like use the name. I don't even know if John knows this. I'll often use the name of the quest as the kind of like rhythm. So that is Crescendo of the Blood Moon. And it's like kind of a nice kind of like input into it. And so yeah, it just gives a starting point. But yeah, really it's just all iterative. And just finding a way to be like, yeah.
I did. So you didn't supply this one. I supplied my own for the Stunt Runner theme. I wrote my own lyrics for that melody because it's so catchy. It's ding, 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 ding. And every time I hear it, I would sing to myself, running through those hot Stunt Runner nights. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Perfect.
I gotta give Cam props on this one because he's being modest, but like, so Cam didn't set out to become the like person who scores all the content in our game. When we first started out, it was just kind of like, well, we need music, and Cam was really helpful and was willing to put some stuff together. But I remember a very specific moment was when we were ramping up to build the Rise of Jumbotron. I was I had a pretty clear vision for what I thought the tone of the music would go well for, and I was part way through like, hey, we don't have a lot of funds, but hey, can we just start working with some pretty well established electronic musician? And I was doing that. I had emails going with a studio. They were sending us samples, and I was having back and forth with them creatively. And then Cam just was like there at the ops with his iPad and his Korg synthesizer, and he just took a stab. He's like, hey, this is kind of like what I'm feeling. And I was like, well, let's give it a shot. And then Cam sent it over, and I was like, man, this is good. this is really good. Like we put it in the game and we were playing our really prototype levels to Cam's music. And I was just like, wow, Cam sits right next to me. This is a whole lot easier to iterate on than trying to go back and forth with some studio in LA. And it's like, and honestly, I kind of love it. And so the part where I know Cam would be modest is I've told Cam before, I think the music and the sort of uniform sensibilities and quality through the music in all of Rec Room is one of the strongest forces of Gestalt we have. Like, you kind of know you're in Rec Room when that music written by Cam comes up. And, I think he just has a very signature style. It's goofy, it's quirky, but it's really well done. It's got a lot of detail. And he just kind of gets, like, what are the hooky things of various genres that need to represent moods? Like, I think you do a great job of that stuff.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun, but I would say, like, the secret to everything we do is just being willing to iterate and being really willing to, like, kind of just work collaboratively and kind of take feedback from each other and not take it too personally, so that it's amazing how much of a superpower that is for creative endeavors if you can, like, leave your ego out of it and just be like, all right, how can we make this thing better? So I feel really, like it's true of many of us on the team, but I know the people here, we've worked on so many different, like, bits and pieces over the years that it's I think we've got a really fun working relationship of just, we can try anything at this point and figure something out.
I think awesome. with the music we've hit this too, and even with the art and the aesthetics, like, some of my favorite things in Rec Room is when we thread it's absurd and silly but also awesome. Like, it's got all those qualities to it.
Well, I know Ryan, you and I talked about when we were making Crescendo, I think, like, one of my favorite pieces of music, that kind of just the way it turned out, I really like that hub music when you get to, like, the central kind of castle foyer in Crescendo. And I know, Ryan, you were really happy with how that turned out visually, and I think those two together, like, just created such a cool mood. Like, we were pretty happy with that one. We're like, yeah, that feels really good.
The, like, pipe organ.
Yeah, the one that starts with the hop.
Oh, and an example of the type of silliness for iteration that we can only do because we would sit there next to each other was we had that room that flips upside down, which is an homage to Symphony of the Night, Castlevania. And Cam's like, hey, we have this harpsichord piece. Like, what if I just actually invert it and play it backwards? And totally. I don't know if it's truly backwards, but it sounds backwards.
Yeah. It has that kind of backwards reverb on it. So, like, all of the reverb in that track works backwards. So it starts before the sound and it goes... Anyway, I could nerd out about the music all day, but I probably shouldn't.
I love the Jumbo Rise of Jumbotron theme. I'm a big fan. I learned it on guitar and bass at one point, and, like, did, like, a metal
awesome.
Oh no!
Awesome.
That's great.
You have to perform.
I'd love to hear it.
I'll be cleaning and I'll, like, start whistling, like, or, like, humming the dorm room music. Like, it's really catchy. Really good stuff.
Awesome. That's great to hear.
It sticks in your head. It's super iconic. I love to hear it. So, next up, we have a question coming in from Betty.
Hey, Creeper Betty here. Super excited to be here. So I don't really have a question. Just basically, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for giving us the opportunity, first of all, to celebrate Rec Room's 5th anniversary. And also, I know, and and also wanted to thank you. Rec Room has provided us with the platform, tools, and cameras to create sets like this one we're in today. And these features are one of the main reasons why the VR chat show exists, and combined with, the dedicated team here, it produces exclusive content for viewers, again, like we're doing today. So I just wanted to say thank you again for creating a wonderful place where the adventures are endless.
Well, thank you. Honestly, that's lovely to hear, but, like, it really is endlessly inspiring to us of, like, one of our favorite things around the office, and that the office Slack is always filled with, check out what people have built, like, check out this thing that someone built. How did they do this? This is amazing. And it's just an endless source of creative energy and inspiration for us that people like yourselves kind of come together to make, like, a show, and kind of like we love to see that, like, like, very often the best stuff in Rec Room is built by groups of people. So it's really nice to see people kind of form crews and, like, put on plays and create rooms and create shows. Like, it's just really endlessly energizing for us. So right back at you. Thank you.
Alrighty. Next up, we have a question coming in from Justin.
Hey guys, first of all, thank you for taking your time out of your day and coming to chit chat with us, especially around your birthday. I know it's probably pretty hard. But anyways, I've got more of a fun question for you. What was one of your favorite bugs in one of your builds that people may not really know about?
My favorite bug of all time was Dracula in the park.
That did ship. That did ship. Yeah.
Oh,
I
man,
love that
we're
one.
professionals.
Does anyone remember that one when we shipped Crescendo and like Dracula kept showing up in the park for some reason? That was hilarious.
Yeah. I think it was because one of the artists had saved Dracula in the park because we were like making an image for
Promo
Instagram
shoot.
or something.
Dracula was there for the promo shoot.
Oh yeah.
And so Dracula was saved in the park, and I think they just committed the file to production, and then like no one's like playing the park, to quality because like we never really update it. So it doesn't really get checked every time we ship. But yeah, that slipped through the cracks, and then sure enough, everyone's just like getting attacked and Dracula being hyper aggressive. It was hilarious.
That was a good one. I remember I really liked the ice skating bug in the rec center that we had right after we did when we first did smooth locomotion. When we did smooth locomotion, you could walk like there was still a few bugs in the underlying system and stuff. And I remember like people figured out that you could kind of ice skate and like slide around and had this kind of really crazy thing. There was just basically a couple of nights in the rec center where you could just go in and people were just like doing these crazy ice skating loops and having a great time. This was probably you, Marisa. There was one where there was like we accidentally had maker pen permissions turned on in the rec center as well, and people just went crazy decorating it for like one night, and we're like, that's not meant to happen. It was really funny.
Yeah,
that was you.
There was
Wasn't
a couple of creators did that. Yep.
This one wasn't actually this wasn't a bug. This was a real feature and testament to the programming Josh did. So when we were building Jumbotron, Josh identified like, hey, there's a lot in common between the way the bots work and the pathing they have and their spawning. And so he just made it effectively possible. Like, hey, we could spawn anything here. And I just had misconfigured a encounter to spawn goblins instead of robots, and it just worked. Like how often in software do things just work? But it's because Josh programmed it to work, and so that turned into a real Easter egg. We like put it in there, and that was the Kevin Goblin guy.
Oh yeah.
I got a good one for when. Sorry, one where we didn't ship it. It was the mirrors for CBM. So the mirrors for CBM are actually based on the cannons from ILS. It's kind of like taking the same source from there. So when we first started making it, I think we had like a rough prototype of the mirror that used to kill Dracula. Spoiler. And when we first set it up, it was just like not configured correctly. And I remember just like going up to it and interacting with it, and then I just started like violently spinning around the cannon, just like at like doing 360s at like 100 miles per hour, and just like my entire screen was just crazy whirly, like just going like, so yeah, we definitely did not ship that one, but it was a fun experience.
Well, one of my favorites had to have been the disc golf bug, where if you spam grab the disc for a few seconds, you could just run with it.
Oh, I didn't know that one. Okay, that's news to me.
Oh, no problem. Oh, yeah, I was just going to mention, I didn't even know this was a bug. I literally thought it was a cool new feature to the Maker Pen where when you selected a different color, the Maker Pen, like certain shades of it became that color. And I was like, oh my goodness, they're geniuses. This is so, are you kidding me? And then I learned later, I think that's a bug. I'm like, let's keep it. Let's keep it.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Those are the best kind of bugs.
I was like,
I forgot about this. So long ago, before you guys had the neon, we used to kind of break your game a little bit to make it there.
Oh yeah.
And there was one time when we got a cool gradient going across that we never seen again. But yeah. It was great that you found.
I was thinking about that when we're talking about how do we choose features to do. Like it's very often when like that neon we put neon in the game because people had figured out how a really hacky way to do neon, and we're like, oh, we're right, we better do it for real.
Transparency.
Like Windows, like Windows too.
Yeah, exactly.
The button.
Alrighty, so next up, our question is coming in from Jason.
Being a seated player, I'm limited on crouching and stuff in the game. I'm just wondering if there is anything that you guys are going to put in the future that make it a little easier. I mean, I could still move around and get around, get a little dodgeball action in, but if it comes to where I have to crouch in something, that's where I have a problem. Just wondering if you guys are maybe having any future updates and
better support for seated players. What do you think, Josh?
I think that's a really well-timed question, and you should keep your eyes peeled on updates in the next couple of months.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that we think would be really cool to support, and Josh is being coy, but yes, like we should have support for that at some point.
Yeah. No, in all seriousness, we are going to ship a seated mode feature in the next couple of months, hopefully a little bit sooner than that, but specifically to sort of support what you're describing of, hey, I'm sitting in a chair right now, and I wish that I could crouch and I could stand up, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, we're going to take it really seriously.
I know it's definitely going to help a lot of people. They're going to be very, thankful for that. People that are not able to crouch themselves, it's definitely going to at least brighten their day. So it's going to be a cool day. Okay, so I'm a huge fan of the AMAs. I watch them all the time, and I know you're very, how do you put this? You cannot say a lot, which I completely understand. But
sure, yeah.
Since we're all gathered here today, we're all friends, right? We're all friends. Is there anything you can definitely kind of like tease as what is coming up?
So this isn't going on the internet or anything, right?
No. All these cameras they're actually made.
Okay.
It's going on my VHS collection.
All right, what can we tease? I
got one.
All right.
Okay. So we've teased this for a long time, but I think if you look back in some of our blog posts, there was one blog post that we talked about. It may have been like body shapes or head shapes, but we talked about some hair and it was meshed with some other features. But we kind of put that on ice for a long time. But there is some active momentum happening on that front. So stay tuned for some fun updates with hair.
Right on.
Yeah.
People are always asking us, are we ever going to make other RROs?
Yeah. Well, I remember talked about some early work we were doing on vehicles like a year ago. And
someone did talk a big game about vehicles, didn't they?
Yeah, somebody. I'm not going to name any names instead of talking about that. And we may or may not have been working on that since then.
So if we were teasing things, we might say the word vehicles and just let that linger in the air.
Oh, we might use the word. Yeah, I think about the monorail we have over here. And, it's really excellent, but it might be even a little bit better if you could sit in the seats.
Yeah, that might be good. Good.
Okay.
Yeah, so that might be good. And the other words we might let linger in the air are some costume thinking. Maybe some costume thinking. Yeah.
Anyway, a little bit earlier.
Just some random words to kind of spit out,
Right. Just.
But I'm always very evasive in the AMAs because our production methodology is very iterative and is pretty chaotic. Like I always want to be really careful about making explicit promises because I definitely have had my fingers burned a couple of times by doing that. But so it's always I'm trying to balance what can we say for sure. But yeah, so those are some teasers of things that we're like kind of poking around at. But we always want to be careful about saying this is going to happen for sure right now because then everyone gets mad at me.
How about this? I can say we have a really exciting summer.
/ vroom vroom.
Put your seatbelt on.
Buckle up.
All right, so we are going to take some questions here from the audience here in just a second. But before we do that, if y'all have anything else you'd like to add, either about yourself, experiences, literally anything, feel free to take this time and just let's hear it.
Sure. I mean, I guess all I would say is, for anyone who's watching the video, who's a Rec Room player, first of all, if you're not a Rec Room player, what are you doing? Come on, play Rec Room. But for those of you who are playing Rec Room, I just want to say thank you and just express our love and gratitude for anyone who spends time in Rec Room. We're really all about, like we talked about before, bringing people together to express our creativity. So we just couldn't be more excited by just, what people come and bring to the platform, bring in their creativity and energy. So just thank you to everyone for that. All want to send that message to the community.
Yeah. Again, to echo that sincere gratitude and appreciation feel really fortunate to just be able to sit here and talk to all of you and feel the love that you have for Rec Room. It was motivating and inspiring.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. This space, this community, these questions, all of it. It's incredible. Like this is a real event that you all put on, and we're just guests, and it's just so great to be here.
Yeah, likewise, super excited, and I'm always just blown away by what people are creating and creating together as friends and communities. Just like a little bit tidbit, we're looking at your stuff every single day, and I'm basically every single day something gets posted from the community to our internal company channels, and I just love seeing all the reactions and people like, oh my god, check out what this person did, and look what they're creating now. It just really blows me away. So love seeing that stuff, and yeah, excited to see more of it.
Can I add a little factoid as well? So in the last 11 months, the size of the team has doubled. So we're going to be at about 104 full-time employees. I was employee number 50 11 months ago, and we're still continuing to grow. And so anyone who's interested in actually being a part of this growth that we're doing here and what we're building, definitely check out recroom.com/jobs. If you have specific questions, you can email jobs@recroom.com. I'm Got Seb. You can ping me on Discord, whatever, however you want to get a hold of us. Just definitely check it out. It's super fun being a part of this.
It's been a kind of a crazy year for everybody, and for us, we've hired a lot of people who have been working with us remotely. So a really interesting thing for us over the summer is going to be seeing more and more of the team come back to the office and figuring out how as a company to work half in the office, half remotely. It's kind of just a really interesting time of growth and change for the company, but it's like for the previous 5 years, from starting as a very tiny team to now being a team of over 100, like Seb says, we've always figured out how to roll with the punches, and I think it's testament to, honestly, I couldn't be more proud of the team that we've built. I've been in games a long time, and I've worked with a lot of teams. And I gotta say, the Rec Room team that we've been able to build is just one of the best development teams that I've ever been blessed to work with. They do incredible work. So yeah, just it's going to be a really, really fun summer. I think it's going to be a really, really fun summer. But yeah, look, just thanks for having us. This has been so fun. But I'll stop rambling. We should do some more questions.
You're good. You're good. All right. So we are going to now kind of open it up. If anybody here does have a question, go ahead and raise your hand. We'll pick somebody and kind of go from there. All right. Let's see. Is it on dog?
We've been talking about, past bugs. We've been talking about future things coming up or not. So there's a feature already in the game, but it's not updated, and that would be the deck of cards, which I've been wanting for a while to be more updated and brought into the modern era. I don't think it has screen compatibility right now, and it kind of just sits in the clubhouses. I was wondering if there's any plans to go in. So it was fix was holding back the cards from being updated and put into the palette, and if there's any are you guys going to update it, maybe make it compatible with CV2?
So, I mean, eventually, for sure. I don't know exactly when. That's something we often talk about. We kind of call it the play gap, is things that screen players can't really do that VR players can. And so we're definitely interested in finding ways. We'll probably never get the screen players to be as expressive as VR with tracked hands and everything. But we want you to be able to at least do the same thing. So pick a card and look at a card. So yeah, I think we've definitely got work to do. I don't know if we know exactly when that'll happen.
Despite the fact the team is getting bigger, we still have to be really intentional about choosing what to do and when and prioritizing. And so, right now that hasn't been the top of our list, but it is on our list for sure. We do intend to get to it. But we've got some of that exciting stuff for the summer that we're focusing on first. But, just even bringing up the question is really helpful to help us understand how important it is to go fix.
Alrighty. Let's see. Shug, right?
I really wanted to. It's not so much of a question as more of just I just wanted to put it out there as as a compliment and as a thank you. In that something I think that everybody assumes that Rec Room's a very social game, but I don't think I necessarily hear people talk about the realities of that. I mean, in a pandemic, world that we've been living in, I have found Rec Room very, very important, and I'm not even a very social person. Like last Christmas, we did a rap video. I don't do that. I shouldn't be rapping, but Rec Room allowed me to put that out on my channel, and and that was a real turning point, I think, for even me doing stuff on my channel that was just more silly, and that was something I would never have done if Rec Room hadn't been there for me. I've made a few friends, like Jason over here, who have become like daily, lifelong friends, and I've never met him yet. When we get in Rec Room, we go over and give ourselves a virtual hug, and it feels like I'm spending time with him, and it's something that is very special to myself, and I think to many other people. And I just wanted to put that out there as kind of a, it's not just games, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah. No, I super appreciate you saying that. I mean, that we feel the same way, and like it's obviously so much of the pandemic and COVID was just horrible in so many ways, but we did feel like a lot of gratitude at being able to be, at least in some small way, a way of like that people could be connected, just like you say, and so yeah, it's like we love hearing those kind of stories, and we feel it ourselves. Like some of my favorite Rec Room memories are like my family is all in Australia, and so I've had some really kind of just nice moments when my mom has gotten into a quest, and I can kind of like take her on a tour of the crazy world that people have created, and she's just like, what on earth is going on right now? But but it's a way I can be connected with her in a really interesting way. So yeah, just totally agree with that. And for all of the craziness and horror of 2020, that was a nice bright spot, was just like seeing people use Rec Room as a way to connect is just really delightful.
Even with our teams and our teammates in 2020, we got a lot more practice about like planning time to get together outside of work. And even if it's a work meeting, we would do, other tech for video conferencing or something, but there was nothing that made me feel like I was amongst humans again, like getting into Rec Room and actually being with my co-developers. That made it that's a lot more tolerable.
That's actually been a fun thing, is like a recent thing, is like, because most of the teams on Rec Room, we have morning scrums, like usually like 10:30, like we have like a little team stand-up meeting where everyone kind of plans out their day. And every Friday, the team I'm currently scrumming with, every Friday is field trip Friday. So instead of doing it in like a video chat or anything like that, it's get a crew, go visit some room that someone wants to recommend, and we'll go have our stand up in some crazy like treehouse or like on top of a dragon or some ridiculous thing. But couldn't agree more. And it's always lovely to hear about the connections people make in Rec Room. Like it's just what a blessing,
And I mean, one more thing just to add to that, I don't know if you guys even are aware of this, but like these creatives in the VR chat show, they put on a release party for a video game studio, and they had an after party where they had a live DJ, and we had people on the dance floor from Brazil and the US and Canada and the UK, and it was I don't have a lot of time to spend in Rec Room, but that blew my mind. I mean, and the way that people, you'd see the drunk women dancing in a circle on the dance floor, and the guys who didn't know what to do with themselves talking off in the corner. It was just like real life. It was fantastic.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. We love that. We love people socializing.
Nope.
Oh, here? Okay. So Rec Room, obviously 5 years. You'd mentioned at the early start that you really didn't know what to expect from this thing as far as if it would be a failure or whatnot. Obviously, it's a pretty big success. What in that time has surprised you most about Rec Room? Whether it's like a room or a creation or how people have used it? Like, what is kind of like, wow, like that? I did not see that coming.
The first thing that jumps to mind for me is just the desire to create at all. For a long time we didn't have any creation tools, right? We're the Wii Sports of VR. You can't make games in Wii Sports, and there's a group of folks who were playing like games like Sardines in some of the paintball maps, right? And you couldn't do anything to even turn the voiceovers off, right? So you're trying to hide, and it looks like you're the first one here, right? And that was a big inspiration for us. Like, oh, we're being stupid. Of course people want to express themselves and make their own spaces, and if only we stopped getting in their way. And that was a huge eye-opening moment for me personally.
Yeah, for me it's similar. It's like the getting the creation going, and then I'm always just blown away by how much time people put into their creations. And it's not just like a afternoon thing. People are spending days and months on creation, and you can really see it in the end result. And seeing that kind of quality be delivered through some of the fundamental tools that we give, it's just like very eye opening.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I definitely would co-sign all of that for sure. I think maybe this is not a good answer, but it just kind of is what's going through my brain. For me, it's something that's been a really interesting journey over the last 5 years. Is like the way we kind of have chosen to work as a company. Like we talk about how we choose work. And Josh will probably laugh at me about this because we talk about it all the time. But like, we have this very goal-driven approach to design at the company that is really like not something that has been so formalized in previous companies I've worked at. Like, obviously, you always have kind of goals and like that you're trying to work towards. But it's really the foundation of the way the company works is this goal-driven process where we kind of like say to the team, like we have high trust, we have high autonomy. Like we've really set up the company to be like this really distributed decision-making kind of mechanism. And so it's been a very, I wouldn't say a surprise. It's just been a really pleasant validation of that just general approach of starting from the premise of trusting people and giving them a lot of freedom to work in the way they want. And just seeing that really work on a system for 5 years, that approach has been working really well. And we're just going to keep doubling down on it as we grow. That's been just really great to kind of see like you can place trust in people and they will live up to that trust very often. And so that's just been a really great thing of just how the company works and just how we think about managing the team has been a great thing over the last 5 years. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense.
Is there anything that particularly surprised you in the last 5 years?
No, I mean it's been cool to see actually Rec Room grow from the first time I played was on the PSVR, and it was amazing then, and just seeing it flourish it is probably not the surprise, but just kind of the coolest thing to see that it's just continuing to grow and be bigger and be better in every way. And I think it's just I'd love to see where Rec Room is in 5 years. That's going to be wild. I mean, where VR is in 5 years, who knows? But it's cool to see just how much it's just been. It's how much of a success Rec Room has been. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. It's been fun, like, and we think of like how far we've come in the last 5 years. And I was kind of going to say before, like one of the really interesting things about like the creative tools and all of the like systems we build, like they're very kind of additive and like they kind of build on top of each other, and so there's kind of this accelerating effect. Like, so I think the distance we'll be able to go in the next 5 years is a lot further than we've come in the previous 5 years, because we'll be building on top of so many systems that already exist. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it's going to be like Rec Room in 5 years is going to be pretty wild.
Hi, my name's Hambone. I want to say thank you too, because if it wasn't for Rec Room, she probably wouldn't have ever started streaming or content creating, and now we're doing that full time. So thank you.
Yes.
Guys.
Congratulations. That's great.
That was awesome. Our lives probably wouldn't be where they are today. So
that's great.
Yeah. But one of the questions I had, and for us, we do a lot of content creating, a lot of streaming and things like that, but we're always trying to think of innovative ways on how to interact with our community. It's really cool to be a VR content creator and be able to actually go into VR and meet your audience and create genuine friendships and relationships with them. And something that I've been wanting to do and have yet to really find the platform to do it on is eventually I would like to actually, while she's doing her live streams and things like that, to have a large virtual audience. And I know that there's some limitations and like shadowing rooms and things like that to actually if whether it be a DJ or whether you're showing a screen or somebody is up speaking, to bring everybody into a room, maybe 40 at a time per room, and shadow that together. That's something that for us we were really wanting to eventually take advantage of. I'm not sure if Rec Room has any plans in the future for that, but my question kind of leans towards, what is that even possible? Is that going to be a possibility in the future, and so on?
You ready for one of my trademark evasive answers? So yeah, I mean, so here's how I'll answer that question. So, great question, and I totally get what you're saying. Like, you know, the ability to take an event like this and expand it to an audience of hundreds or thousands of people in real time would be super interesting. And so what I can say about that is, like, who here went to RecCon 1 last year? So a bunch of people kind of went to RecCon like that. You know, speaking of, you know, an interesting event during the pandemic, you know, that was really interesting to see for us. Was like, you know, for us, we did very little work to specifically support RecCon. You know, obviously we were supportive of it, but we didn't do a lot of like custom engineering or anything. So to see an event that the community was able to organize that took place over a weekend and was like literally larger in terms of attendance than, you know, most actual real life conferences was pretty wild. And so that was great. We loved RecCon and just loved the energy of it and the organization of it. And so after the event, we were like, okay, give us feedback. You know, what are the main lessons from RecCon 1? And the absolute number one top of the list was, you know, we had 1,000 people RSVP for our event and 40 of them could get in. So that was obviously something that there was a lot of complaining. You know, people were like, man, that kind of sucked. So without kind of making any concrete promises, I will say that we heard that feedback loud and clear, and that we really, really hope that that's not a problem for RecCon 2. How about that?
I'd like to update. I didn't have an answer for most surprising one, but to me, I think for me, the biggest one last year was RecCon. I remember early days of Rec Room thinking, you know, if miracles happen and someday we're successful enough as a company to have a convention about Rec Room, and you know, awesome. this isn't taking over the Penny Arcade Expo downtown that or anything, but we had a very fully featured, super enthusiastic, amazingly decorated convention virtually with tons and tons of people. And like Cam said, we had talks where way more people who wanted to go than could.
So yeah, that is definitely a use case we're interested in. I don't want to make any wild promises, but for sure we are poking at it.
Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. So, Rec Room. I'll tell you what. Rec Room we basically have this community. We're able to create. People are also putting themselves out there to create content. They're building a following, right? And a fan base like that's incredible. Like we have this society in here, this community in here. People actually be building fan bases in this metaverse. I'm just curious, okay, about you guys. Who do you guys, fanboy, fangirl, who do you nerd out about that you've seen in this world? If you have, like, you know, like, oh, I'm a, you know, I know this question was inspired by you, by the way. I was like, oh, I am curious. All of you guys, just let it out. Be honest.
Are you asking us to play favorites right now, pal? Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all. No, like, who are you and why? Like, okay, I'll start with Radiant. Go ahead, Radiant. Tell us. Go ahead, Radiant.
So I was a little starstruck when I saw Misery and the costume work that we all looked at in our orientation presentation. The other one, the big one for me, was the work that Snox did for I believe it was Rec Center. Marisa can correct me, but yeah, whenever I see Snox has published something, I gotta go check it out.
Yeah, no, but see, honestly, this is maybe a bit of a cop-out answer. I'm consistently blown away by the work that Marisa does. Speaking of someone here in the stands, you know, just incredible. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely blows my mind. Sort of the first person to demonstrate to me that, like, you can really make incredible content with the tools we have here. And so,
yeah,
really fortunate we get to work with her, and she gets to do that stuff for a living.
And Marisa is like I think we were talking about this metaphor the other day of, like, she's a watering can sprinkling inspiration and creativity all over the place, and then that just like multiplies.
Yep.
Personally, for me, it's just like I love at the end of all the contests and just like jumping around to the winners and seeing those playlists and going to see all the incredible rooms. So like there's always like some standout creators that I keep seeing. Like the one that keeps on my mind is like Fandor and the adventures that are made for that. I just love those experiences. And,
yeah, was that Fandor? Who did the one with in the current contest with the dorm that like collapses and you're in the weird experimental thing?
That was
Snox. That's Fandor. Yeah, Snox and Fandor. Yeah, that's so good.
Backdoor.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like it's
great.
Yeah, serious answer power is like it's hard to pick a favorite because like there is this just kind of like people just coming out with crazy new stuff every month. It's hard to keep up,
The thing that really sticks out as special in when I look at the people who have made this stuff here and how they represent what they're proud of is I'll often see like the credits or the photos of the people who worked together, and there's nothing more touching to me than like it wasn't this person who made this, it was the chemistry of these 4 folks, almost like a band or something. Like they were better than the individuals. They came together and created something and had hard problems and worked them out and played to their strengths. Like that is just so special.
True
story. Just to bounce off that, like I love the endings for a lot of these contests and stuff or rooms where like the credits are a thing. Like you don't see that in other games. Like like in traditional games, there's a credit roll and you have got maybe they get a little bit creative with the credit roll, but like the credits in the rooms that you all make are like experiences in themselves with like reveals and highlighting people's strengths and weaknesses. Like I just love seeing how that's expanded for games and like that's an expansion in the games experience, not just Rec Room experience. And I think that's incredibly powerful because it's a brand new frontier.
Now we just need to get music in Rec Room. Need music tools.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I was just thinking that. Yeah. It's coming. As someone who's like really into music, like we have not scratched the surface of music creation tools in Rec Room yet.
Yeah.
Barely. Oh my God. There's so much we can do there.
It's so cool to see the specializations you get where somebody's a really good circuits guru and they help out different teams. And like, that's one of those on a long enough timeline. Surely it will be your discipline is I'm a great composer and I write music for people's projects.
Sure.
Yeah, and that way, and just one of the many reasons we invested in Circuits V2 is it sets us up for interactive music stuff because it's so much faster, more reactive. So you can do things that are like music speed and music because music is really sensitive to latency and stuff like that. So anyway, like I said, I could nerd out on music all day. I won't.
All right. Do we happen to have any more questions? Cool. Knock.
So my question is actually to Marisa right here. There's a lot of like template rooms that are being created, and I'm like glad to see that because it really gives creators like a good starting point on the Maker Pen tools. Just kind of seeing what they can do with it at environment. Oh, I keep turning. Sorry. So my question to you is, what's kind of like the process of, coming up with these different types of themed rooms or, how do you plan out like where the buildings go and like, where everyone can kind of see all these different assets that they can use for their own rooms. So, and how long does that take usually?
Yeah. So first off, we try to look at what the community really wants. Like right now we just launched the beach template. We know everybody wants to be on the beach, right, during the summer. So that's one of the important things that we wanted to launch is, everybody needs a beach room, right? So what does that look like? And we need to give them flexibility on moving the shapes around. What do those shapes look like on all platforms? How do people interact? And how do people learn in that environment? Can they just throw a bunch of inventions in there and have a great time with their friends? So those are the main things, is it simple? Can you move it easily? Can I select this easily? Can I just throw a bunch of stuff in here? So that means that we have to design the maps to be like about 50% ink or less. And then and then we have to create tutorial experiences so that they can get themselves started and just jump in with a bunch of friends. So there's a lot of like technical things in, like everything has to be frozen because when new creators just jumping into a room, pulling out their Maker Pen, they're going to be grabbing a bunch of stuff. So things that you don't want them to grab yet, you can be frozen and you teach them how to unfreeze it and edit it and all that stuff. So that's where it happens. And then we just think about simple layouts, like can you move this house around? Can you move this environment around? Can you move this tree around? What does that look like? How does that feel? And we just make it super simple. So
it's really cool to see that, and it's a whole thing on its own when not only just building what you want for people to use, but also ink management as well is really hard to do because you got to make sure that they also have enough creativity in the room for themselves to make. So yeah, it's really cool to see that. So.
Yep, it's a good place to get started. get started. Yeah.
Alrighty. Pal, go ahead.
I have a question for this side of the room over here. YouTubers over here. Okay, you guys.
YouTubers on this side too.
Over here, YouTubers over here. YouTubers in the
That's
back.
YouTubers all over right now.
YouTubers in the back and YouTubers in the front. Okay, all around YouTubers. Okay, you guys have been a part of growing with this community. I'm curious about how you've used this platform to how have you used it in a way that helps you build what it is that you're building. I know this could be its own conference panel, but if you can summarize it, because it's Rec Room birthday time, how has this leveraged Rec Room, the uniqueness of Rec Room, to help you guys?
The fact that Rec Room is so accessible, and we do reach a younger audience where their parents are wanting to know what they're on, wanting it to be accessible. Some can't afford VR headsets, so they have iPhones. Things like that. That's helped us build our community in such a way that we can literally be like, let's all jump in and let me play a game with you. Like, that's so unheard of, and for them to, even if they do have a VR headset, to be able, I'm a hugger, I love to hug, and so for me to actually be able to hug them in a game, especially during a time when they're lonely, we're in a pandemic, and meet and greets are not a thing right now. So to be able to do that, whether they're on their iPhone or they're on their Xbox or their PlayStation, it doesn't matter because we are still connected. So the fact that it's so accessible is such a game changer. And that's what's really helped us grow our community and keep it so close.
Yes, hugs, more hugs. I love it.
I'd like to jump in on.
Whoever.
I'd like to jump in there quickly. I'm Chris, Shugghead Gaming, guys. I just wanted to say that my channel is basically game reviews, but and that's kind of what I like to do. That's what I do. But the things that I'm the most proud of, in some ways, have been the things that I've done with the VR chat show. In the fact that we've been able to interview developers, do dance parties, do get-togethers like this, and have entire creative teams that we've gotten the chance to talk to, and doing rap videos that I have no right to do, and just things like that are they're the really creative things that I've gotten to do outside of what my main channel has been, and so I think it's allowed me to, I guess, show a side of myself that I would never get to do other than that.
So yeah, everybody's looking around. I never got to actually personally thank y'all. Seriously, thank you for creating this wonderful world. A big part of what I actually do, and I'm able to do YouTube full time now, is because of what y'all created. I didn't necessarily try to do YouTube full time. I started out playing a game, played a few escape rooms. I tried Rec Real on the alpha weekend and absolutely fell in love with it. Everything was so buttery smooth. The pans hit so hard. I love it so much. But, you guys kind of gave me a stepping stool to just be creative. I got into VR not really knowing what to do, and I wanted to show people the virtual world through my eyes. And then Rec Room, I kept coming back to. I love going out. I love exploring, finding new opportunities. But Rec Room is like my second home. I got my real home. Rec Room is my exact second home. I always come here. And it's, the way we were talking about earlier, Rec Room, it's a never-ending game. It continuously goes. It's infinite. And so that's what I love about it. I always see it as a place I can grow, and I can grow my community. And the final thing I did want to say, I think I've told Maurice before, but especially you guys, thank y'all for allowing me to have an item in the game. That's something I never even dreamed about as a kid. So actually getting that and getting to work with y'all was the coolest thing ever. So seriously, thank y'all.
Love it. And I know. So I loud and clear, and that's great to hear. And I understand what you're saying, but I want to say when you say thank you for creating Rec Room, that's not how we feel about it. We're not creating Rec Room. We're all creating this together. I say it in most of the AMAs is Rec Room is nothing without the players, and it's nothing without the creators. Other than that, it'd just be a pile of code and assets, and it's not that interesting. So yeah. So I hear what you're saying, but I always translate that into my head is we're all creating this together for sure.
Right. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Anybody else? Do we have any last questions here? I believe
I'll
that
do
is
a last thank you.
there you go. Go ahead.
If it wasn't for the creative tools in Rec Room, I would have never gone back to university, which I'm studying software development and eventually want to be a game designer myself now. And also you guys gave me a job, so I get to live my dream, go to university and work for just something truly great.
Love it. Love it. That's great.
And I've made friends all
That's
over the
awesome.
world, which is quite nice, being down so far south. It's nice to get to meet everyone all over the world.
Hey, Southern Hemisphere represent.
Awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people that are here I've met here. You know, same thing. A lot of people here I've met here. Some people come in and I've met after, but I mean, yeah, I mean, like Justin, I wouldn't have known unless I showed up in here. I met him here. You know, I met a lot of different people here. So this is, yeah, I don't know. A lot of people say this place is second home. I kind of feel the same way, you know, as well. I love coming in here, talking with these guys. Just, I could spend hours in here just doing that, all the rooms and stuff. But that's it. I don't want to keep going because I'll go for another half an hour on it. So I'm going to stop.
Alrighty. Well, with that being said, I'd just like to say, Cameron, and we also got Josh, John, and Ryan. Thank you all so very much for allowing us to interview you all today, talk to you, get some insights to the game. Guys out here in the bleachers, thank you all very much. And to the viewers that are watching, make sure you tune in to the VR Chat channel. There's definitely more interviews to come soon. And with all that being said, just thank you all for watching.
Thanks for having us.